Welcome back to another episode of Brands Bites, bringing you bite-sized insights into the latest tech and newest tech news going on around the world. And without further ado, let's jump straight into our first topic. Elon Musk announced a timing for the Cybertruck delivery event. Not an actual day, not an actual time for it, but we at least know that these are going to start shipping in some point of Q3. Most people think this is going to be around September, but Elon just said Q3. Expect the Cybertruck delivery event to happen. Normally, this kind of runs down the list of actual options for the vehicle, as well as they deliver kind of the first few to actual customers on stage. And this is where we might actually get to see some actual paint jobs they're going to offer on this, wheels they're going to offer, any other upgrades, updates, and actually get to see the full extent of the vehicle, because we really haven't seen that much of the vehicle, like interior. And we've seen a decent amount of exterior, but fine details and stuff like that, we really haven't seen that much of this vehicle yet. So I'm excited to actually have hey, end of third quarter is when this is happening. Don't have a date yet, don't have a time, but you can expect to actually see us do something at that time. And these vehicles already extremely delayed. The guess here is kind of around September 2023. The most precise timing, who really knows? It's Tesla. We've seen, a few leaks of different wheels and stuff like that they've been put on the Cybertruck. But again, are those just wheels they're throwing on there to throw on there? Is that really real? What is actually going to be the Cybertruck that gets delivered to customers? But at least now we know it's at least going to look like this. Motorola is teasing an upcoming Razr foldable with an extra large, external display and a breakthrough refresh rate. I don't know what's really breakthrough on phones. On phones, do we really need more than 120? I feel like 120 is the sweet spot. Don't really need more, don't really need less. This external display does actually look fairly large, but it also doesn't look large enough to be useful for much more than what the other displays were anyways. Are you really going to use a screen like this to interact with your device? Are you going to what are you going to do on there? Just swipe to answer calls and stuff? Could you not have just had a shortcut on the power button to do that? Or just, you flip open to open it anyway? I don't really know if other than seeing notifications and time on these external displays, how much more useful can they really be? I mean, they can show you your camera for selfies and stuff like that, but are they really, how big of a difference are we really going to see here? Now, the phone is expected to have a 6.7-inch OLED inner display with a full HD resolution, 144 Hz refresh rates, and that would be a breakthrough on foldable phones compared to the 120 that most come with. It's not that big of a difference. Now, this will also be expected with a 3640 milliamp hour battery and a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset, which means it'll be a top-of-line phone, as you would expect with a device like this to be. I don't know if the folding phone space is extremely interesting. Flip phones like this, I can understand some people want a smaller phone for putting in their pocket. I can see that. The bigger one to me is the foldables that fold into your iPad, like the Fold 4, which I have. That seems so much more helpful to have a bigger, an iPad with you at all times. But it's not like you're trying to put an iPad in your pocket. You got the bigger screen, but you don't have the drawbacks of a device that's not folded. Motorola really seems to want to push these Razrs and stuff like that. I just don't know if those are the ones that are going to ultimately take off, especially if you can make the bigger folding ones that fold into that iPad. If you can make those hit a sweet spot of just it's thin enough where it doesn't feel much bigger than what you would expect from a typical device, but then you get the bigger screen, I think those at the end of the day are going to end up being the much more high volume product. As weird as that is to say about a folding phone, that just seems like where it's at. There's just not much to really break through there on the actual flip phone front. But with all of that, at the same time, there's these new AI demo ones that they're showing off at TED Talks. Co-founder showed off this one, which is pretty wild here. We have a little video here. There's not too much information on it other than it's supposed to be kind of an AI phone without the traditional touchscreen, projector, weird stuff here. So as he shows off here, sits in his front coat pocket here or front jacket pocket, whatever he's doing. And you can voice command it. Makes sense. Catch him up on things. To a certain extent, just looking at things is easier than asking an assistant, just because it can't show you or tell you very quickly compared to just doing it yourself, in my opinion. We're kind of just not to that point yet. But what he's really showing off here is the cool demo of here you can see it projecting what it wants you to see just right on his hand. He just holds his hand out, projects, oh, this person, is calling you. Do you want to answer, decline, voice call, whatever do you want to do with this information? It's cool tech. I mean, it's awesome to see tech like this. Now, it's also cool that it can do stuff like this where it's showing you what you cannot eat based on knowing your preferences, / dietary restrictions. If it's a health device tied in with all of that, pretty cool. Now, it can also do translations based on your own voice, going from English to French, sound pretty similar to the actual person. All of that said, here, back it up a second here. All of that said, it's pretty cool, but it's also kind of like, I don't know. These voice assistants, like as they aren't great. ChatGPT is like fun to use, but typing out to it or having to speak to it still kind of sucks. I feel like a lot of information is pretty easy to pull up on your own on your phone. But I'm glad they're doing stuff like this. I think the bigger thing will be when all this AI tech can get pulled together into one super easy thing. I think Google Glass is almost, unfortunately, they killed that program, but it's one of the better ways of interacting with a device like that, because the time it takes for the device to say something back, if it's just in your vision at all times, that seems like the best way to do the interaction at the moment, unless it's directly interfacing with your brain and you just don't have to hear and listen and wait. Then that would be the easiest way. But that's not where we're at right now. And again, cool to see awesome tech, projector in your pocket like that. Sick. I just don't think it's there yet. Lastly, let's do an update. I'm a little late on this, so don't be shocked about that. But SpaceX's Starship launch was a success for SpaceX and a failure if you were watching, because as entertaining as it ended up being, the rocket went goodbye at the end. Supposedly they did this, on purpose, I think. The actual exploding of it, not sure, but it experienced a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. So the actual explosion, the not separating part, was completely on accident. They still don't know exactly what caused it, if I remember correct. But it experienced multiple engines out during the flight test, lost altitude, began to tumble. Now the termination system on was commanded both on the booster and the ship, so they did decide to blow it up after things weren't going right. But the main thing SpaceX wanted to do is launch this rocket and actually have it launch. Everything after that, if it made the whole flight, brilliant, way better than they were expecting. If it made it up a few hundred feet and didn't blow up the pad that it was taking off from, also great, which is what we ended up having happen. It got off the pad, got up quite a ways, and then a fireworks show happened. Now, there is kind of some damage that happened, as you can see. And I believe one of the reasons you blow it up is it's just a lot easier to, it's a lot easier to clean up after, which is why they do it. Another video here just shows an auto track of when the rocket went long. So you can see all the engines on there. All those little yellow dots are the engines completely going great. And you'll start to see at some point here, some of the engines just kind of go bad. You can see there some stuff happens. The smoke kind of changes. We have some issues here. Now we're going to be going pretty soon here into a tumble because engines are going to go out just like that. Engines are burning out as we go here. And as they're burning out, you can see things just kind of go sideways, and all of a sudden we're somersaulting. In which case they decide that, don't want to fly this thing into the earth really hard and hit something or completely lose control. So what do? You blow it up. But again, super successful. They're going to learn a lot from this. Fun to watch. I'm super excited to watch the launch in the next few months when they decide to actually test this again. But for now, that's all we're really going to get here for this rocket. Next, we have Google Bard is trying to catch up to ChatGPT in any way they can. And right away starting out an update where it can complete programming and software tasks, code debugging, do all of that stuff, which ChatGPT, again, was already able to do. But Bard is getting updates to catch up. Now, the question is, how quickly can Bard catch up to these things? One of the easiest ways Google could catch up is saying, hey, this might spit out more errors than you're expecting it to, but with Bard, you'll be able to just go through, put in anything, we'll learn from everything. If you want it to code a whole program for you, sure. ChatGPT to the public can't do that right now. But someone like Google come along and say, hey, we're going to let you do that because that helps us learn quicker, which would be cool to see if they opened it up some more like that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But Bard's getting updates. It might catch up. It might never catch up. But if there's one thing Google's proven to you is if it doesn't catch up in the next 10, 20 years, they'll just terminate it because that's just how Google decides to do things now. Now, could you please make things faster is one of the prompts you can use to make your code better. It's cool. It's here. It's not super notable other than Google seems to be trying at least. That's a benefit here. Google doesn't seem to try it much, but they're out here doing their best here. Now, Bard can assist with generating, debugging, explaining over 20 different programming languages, including C++, Go, Java, JavaScript, Python, and TypeScript. It can also export Python code to Google Colab without needing to copy and paste, as well as aid in writing functions in Google Sheets. So it's getting better, but it's Google. We'll see what happens. Next article is really exciting to me, and that is somebody turned the macOS folder icon into an actual wallet that you can go purchase. It'll hold cash, receipts, credit cards, and everything but your actual digital files, which is pretty awesome. So when you're using a Mac and you look at the desktop, the iconic blue folder that you can make on Apple, you see all the time. It's been here for a long time. And, you probably fill them with tons of random things. This dude, however, thought, why not fill my real life with more Apple stuff and an actual blue wallet from Apple? Now, the appropriately named Untitled Folder Wallet is large enough to accommodate standardized credit card, photo ID, actual features, and designs with 3 separate pockets that each have enough room for 4 plastic cards or an assortment of receipts, business cards, paper, currency, blah, 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 blah. Made from vegan leather, so you don't have to worry about your pigs dying to make your wallets or your cows dying to make your wallet, but they're doing it. Now, you can do some interesting things here. So it's a 3-dimensional version of it, obviously, plus matching stitching. You can't delete it, but you can lose it, which is pretty similar to deleting it if you really think about it. One day, maybe they'll put an air tag in here to help you find your wallet, which would be a pretty smart idea. However, he only is planning to make about 500 of these right now. And to be completely honest, for $49, it's actually not like that bad of a deal if you're a big Apple fan and really want to rep an Apple wallet that badly. And, you'll have to wait 5 to 6 weeks for it to be actually manufactured and delivered. But I don't know. This thing looks sweet, to be completely honest. For being a replica, I mean, they could have put a little more detail in there, but a little more details in, like, places to hold things, nicer ways to do things. But this looks sweet. I would totally, if I didn't have a wallet already and was looking to upgrade, I might have considered this, especially if I was, like, an Apple guy. I mean, obviously, I'm, like, using an Apple laptop here, but I don't, they're just another company. At the end of the day, lastly, just another company here is Seagate is paying a $300 million penalty for shipping Huawei 7 million hard drives. So this is, in U.S. export control laws here, they're paying a $300 million penalty in a settlement with U.S. authorities over shipping 1.1 billion worth of hard disk to China's Huawei. Now, a couple fascinating things about this. 300 million compared to 1.1 billion. is a wild difference in numbers and could have still been worth it for Seagate here to be shipping that. Now, Seagate shipped about 7.4 million drives for about a year after 2020 when the rule went into effect. Now, the two other primary suppliers of hard drives ceased shipments to Huawei right after the new rule took effect. I don't know why they waited. I don't know if it's just big company moves slow. Was like, are they really going to do anything about this? Or maybe they were like, hey, what are the odds the fine's smaller than what we're going to make? Probably in our favor. Let's do it. Now, they said in light of the settlement, it would report its fiscal third quarter financial results before the market opens rather than before. Now, I don't know. This is just super. I don't understand regulations and these companies interact in such a rude way. Especially in the US, these fines always seem so trivial compared to what they made on the exact same thing, let alone what they've made in general. But even what they've made on whatever they did wrong, the fines always seem so minuscule in comparison. I mean, this is 33% of it, but like if your margins were 40%, you still made 7%. Was it at $1.1 billion? That's still a shitload of money. Like, how upset really are you? And at the end of the day, does it really matter? It also agreed to 3 audits of its compliance program and is subject to 5-year suspended order denying its export privileges. So it sounds like for 5 years they might not be able to export, I guess. Is that right? Now, the penalty is paid in installments of $15 million per quarter over 5 years, with the first payment due in October. If we're gonna make laws, can the penalties at least follow them? That's all this really begs here is why can't the penalties follow? Like, hey, maybe that 1.1 billion you made, maybe we should take half. I mean, then the cost of product was, you still had to pay for that, and we just took all your profits and we're like, hey, you just can't profit off of that. I don't know what you really do here. I just thought off the top of my head, that might be a terrible idea. It probably is, but I like Seagate. I actually use their hard drives in my NAS, but I don't know. This is just, when you become the sole supplier of hard drives and you're going to ship a metric shitload of them, you take advantage of things like most people probably would. Problem is you're a giant company that is probably going to have to face the facts at the end of the day. With that, thank you for watching this episode of Brand Bites. Hope you enjoyed this one. Leave a comment down below if you're on YouTube. Leave a voice thing if you're on Anchor. I don't know if you can even leave those on Spotify. Maybe you can. But with that, I'll catch you in the next episode, and we'll talk to you then. See ya.